So one of the things that I really enjoyed about this film was that it had this classical feel, but it was also really fresh. Can you talk about striking that balance both in the story and the visual aesthetic? The hand-drawn.
Yeah, it was definitely probably the biggest challenge we had was how to keep a foot in the past and keep a foot in the now. And it just came with trial and error. I mean, you know, we knew we wanted it to be hand-drawn with watercolor backgrounds and just that traditional feel to it. But we knew that for today's audience, we could update the humor. We felt like that. They were already funny. It's a great comic ensemble of personalities and characters. We just wanted to push the boundaries of those characters as far as we could, and just to see, just to make them, in the effort of making it a funny movie.
And so, Don, your son voiced Rue.
He did, yeah. Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing. And he was bribed with Transformers treats, is that correct?
Not even treats, the toys, yeah. Yeah, when I asked him to do it the first time, he just said no. And I didn't know what to do, so I offered him ice cream, and he was like, no. And so I went to my wife, I said, what am I going to do? We need a Rue, you know, to just tempt. We just wanted him to tempt the voice. This wasn't about casting him at this point. And she's like, well, what'd you tell him? And I said, oh, I'll give him an ice cream. She's like, what are you, his grandpa? Tell him you'll buy him a Transformer. And so I went in there with that. He said yes. And then he started doing the voice, and people ended up liking it, you know, and it kind of stayed in the movie. And in fact, the last recording session was the send the pig line. And I tried to give him some direction, and he kind of looked at me and he was like, I don't think Rue would say it like that. Okay, well, say it your way, big actor boy. And he did, and that's the line that ends up in the movie.
Already a diva. So but it is a little bit different than what they're used to seeing, this generation of kids, in terms of the style. Do you feel like there's a little bit in the open of the movie to educate the audience about how you're going to tell this story, bringing them into the storybook?
Well, that's one of the things that we really loved about the first short that Disney did, Winnie the Pooh and the Honey Tree. Right off the bat, they begin with a camera panning through a child's room, a real child's room. And then the book opens and you go into the movie. It right off the bat sets the context that these are the stories that take place in the world of a child's imagination. So you know right off the bat, that's where you are. And then, not only that, but it's a book as well. It's a storybook. And then reminding the audience all the way through that the movie you're watching is the illustrations of a book come to life by always seeing the book pages, seeing the characters walk across the text. All those really smart things that they used to tell the story back in that time, we knew we wanted to use as devices in our movie and continue to explore that and expand on that as well.
And there's a ton of history. I mean, that you used pictures and photographs of the real Christopher Robin's room, is that correct?
Yeah.
For the inspiration for that. What makes these characters so timeless? And do you feel like torchbearers a little bit?
Yeah, very fortunate torchbearers to be handed sort of this sort of revered kind of franchise. You know, what makes them timeless to us is just that they're all aspects of the human condition. You know, everybody's felt like any of these characters at one point or another. Pooh's the optimist, Eeyore's the pessimist, Tigger's, you know, hyperactive kid. You know, Owl is an egomaniac. In our version, he's kind of crazy, but he's also an egomaniac. And Rabbit is a control freak. Piglet's about fear. So we all relate to that. We've all felt like any one of those things. And so to us, that's what makes Pooh sort of a classic. And it's never going to go out of style because human beings are human beings.
And if there's one character that you particularly identify with, which one would that be?
Well, for me, I guess it's probably Winnie the Pooh. I mean, I can't say that I necessarily am like him, but I wish I was like him. I aspire to be more like Pooh.
To love honey.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for me, I have to admit that I'm a little more of a rabbit than anything, because I like to try to think I can control the world and put everything the way I want it, and it's always going to stay that way. But of course, it doesn't always stay that way, and I try to hide my little mini meltdowns from everybody, but sometimes it happens. And so I'm kind of a control freak like Rabbit.
Okay, great. Well, thank you guys so much. Congratulations.
Thanks so much.